Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Thank you for being here. Hello, everyone. I hope this video finds you in good health and security. I want to talk today, and this may be the beginning of a series of talks. I'm not sure. I think I'm partially in I've been thinking a lot about Nagarjuna lately. And, he was one of the early scholars after Buddha's extinction, trying to set the record straight for the people of his time on the meaning of Shakyamuni's teachings of Buddhism. And there's a couple of things I realized. Number one, Nagarjuna is actually quite known for it as a singular, deep practitioner of the logical device of ad nauseum argumentation. And it can make him his works difficult to read, like the Madhyamika and his writings on the 12 Gates and other writings that consist of the Perfection of Wisdom Sutras, from which the diamond and the heart are all chunks of Perfection of Wisdom. There's Nagarjuna chases fundamentals ad nauseum, right? There it is again, that argumentation. And so it's one thing to say that is fire, that is water, right? It's another thing to say, why is that fire? Why is that water? That question right away spawns a spider web of individual interpretations. The word why, as I've described in videos before, it's a samsaric trap. Why is an unanswerable question. It's this weird, abstract, seeking an answer from somewhere outside the self. It's a trap. It's a nonsense question. But we do it all the time. And what I thought was, maybe I should speak about that samsaric problem by itself, and maybe some others that might come to mind as I progress here, before I dive into Nagarjuna, because I think it would do a great deal for understanding scholars like Nagarjuna, Vasubandhu, and others who do these deep, meticulous dives into what seems simple concepts. But to really appreciate their deconstruction of basic samsaric questions like why, or what, or how. Why, to me, being the worst. That it might be more useful because in our Buddhist practice, all of us, you and I, are going to be confronting these fundamental assumptions that they're beneath our conscious radar. They're inculcated mechanisms. I think the closest word to what I'm talking about is something that we call epistemology, or epistem. In other words, I'll give you my lay explanation of epistemology. You wake up in every morning with a certain set of, and this is a word I don't like, beliefs about the world around you, the way you exist in the world around you, that the toothpaste that you're putting on your toothbrush is fundamentally good for you, right? All these kinds of assumptions. And more to the point, you don't question those assumptions. You operate on those assumptions. That the glass of water you're getting from the tap is going to nurture you and quench your thirst. These are basic assumptions. They're part of your epistemology, right? That if I slap you in the face, this is empirically a violent act that will produce negative reactions, that it is in itself a negative act. But all of that is based on a system of countless beliefs. But if we take apart the word belief for a moment, because I try to expunge it from our dialogue as much as I can, and I did the same with the Gosho and other writings of Buddhism, what we're really talking about is that we have a sliding scale of confidence about things. And to the degree we have greater or lesser confidence, that spectrum of confidence is what we give an umbrella term belief to. But you see, when you think of it that way, belief is a very inaccurate thing. The level of confidence we have about things, that's a little bit more specific, isn't it? So, what am I talking about? I did a video a long time ago because I got fed up with this thing. You kept seeing it on the television and on the online, communities about, because it's still happening today, these monks that would set themselves on fire as a demonstration. A horrific image. Yeah, it's horrific. Ask yourself, in what ways is that horrific? Not why, but in what ways is it horrific? Well, first of all, let me tell you right off the bat, it's not Buddhism. No matter how many times the media will tell you this Buddhist monk set himself on fire, or this Buddhist nun set herself on fire, as some kind of demonstration of human rights. Wow, it couldn't be more opposite from the truth. And here's why. This is, in a way, you could call this killing the messenger, right? The message may not be good, but you don't annihilate the person or the action or the thing giving you the message. That doesn't change anything. Nor does changing the message. The thing to do is to listen to the message, find out where the root of the message is, and see if you can influence that root to something more what? To your liking? No. Because that's all about attachment. What is the attachment? Or how does the attachment come to be? Because certainly your picture of that attachment and my picture of that attachment is going to be different. This is the problem that I also have. That's Buddhism. Let's talk about alcohol addiction or cigarette addiction. The more you use your conscious mind to fight something, some behavior, the more you actually reinforce your attachment to that behavior. Does that make sense? Let me put it plainly. If you have a fascination with fire and flesh, and you stick your hand into a flame, how many times will that fascination alert you to it not being a good idea? How many times will it take for you to go, you know what? That's not a good idea. And what is an idea? It's an upwelling of certain tendencies and conditions. This is what Buddhism is based on. Tendencies and conditions. Under certain conditions, certain tendencies will manifest. If we want to stop certain tendencies to instantiate in certain conditions, we either need to affect the tendencies or the conditions. It's that simple. The tendencies and the conditions are born of, manifest of, formations. Here we go, right back to the basis of Buddhism. It is the formations we need to compassionately look at, and on the one hand, accept that they are formations, that the idea of formations is amazing. It is the reason we have a self, and that we identify everything with distinctions as a this or that, a that not this, a that not that. This is what we're constantly doing. This is the dis-ease of samsara. It is the preoccupation that the human mind is constantly doing. But if you know that, if you're aware of that, if you awaken your Buddha mind to see that play of life instantiating constantly, every single tiny moment, making all of this, then certainly your attachment to all of this becomes the messenger, not the thing. This is where Buddhist compassion intervenes and says it is not the attachment to the thing that is the problem. It is the formation of the attachment to the thing that is to be quelled, to be calmed down. Because annihilation of the thing isn't the problem. It's the attachment to the thing that's the problem. And if we understand the formation of the attachment, then we can take the attachment and go, you're not so important. Isn't that amazing how we create these attachments? So these religious answers to things that say we must go to war with everything in order to annihilate it is such a mind-bogglingly diseased samsaric solution, because it isn't a solution. It triples, quadruples, it continuously multiplies the attachment. If you struggle, if you struggle with smoking cigarettes, okay? There's a everyday thing. We don't all smoke cigarettes, but if you've ever struggled with quitting smoking or drinking alcohol or drugs in general or just bad habits, you name it, we all have them, because that's samsara, right? And then you get hooked into one of these money-making systems or controlling systems, these religious and I keep saying that because I want you to pay attention to what religion really is, how to quit something. See, the very nature of that is the setup. You're addicted. All this language is around attachment, is it not? And if you identify struggle, war, difficulty, a mass variety of chewing gum and replacements, and every time I want a cigarette I eat celery. I don't care what it is. Nicotine gum, celery, I don't know, flagellation, whatever flavor of denial that you want. You are enforcing the very thing that you claim to want to move away from. So back to my example of putting your hand in the fire. If I told you that if you want to stop putting your hand in the fire and getting burned and injured, the best way to do that is to just make a bigger flame and toss your arm into it. Oh, you'll stop doing it. You won't have an arm anymore. It is, right? It is absolutely ridiculous. But in these subtle ways, it seems to be the way of the world. We don't like that, so let's go to war with it. So yeah, a monk setting themselves on fire in the city square is absolutely horrendous, and the furthest thing away from Buddhism you can get. Sylvain, how can you say that? Monks who've been in monasteries for years have done this. It's a political statement. Well, there's the problem. Because that statement is all about attachment, enforcing attachment, not getting rid of it. You don't sit there and burn yourself and go, see, this is how meaningless my body is. No! Buddhism is all about how absolutely amazing this life is as a human, as a body, as a self. Yes, in Buddhism, we teach that the self is a construct that pulls you away from the magnificence of your life. But we do not annihilate it. What we annihilate, if anything, is the attachment, the formation, more accurately, of the attachment to that body. But that body, make no mistake, is absolutely essential for us to have the mind that perceives that very thing. Is that difficult? Seriously, you're going to do a lot of thinking about this problem. Because I'm not even sure we're taught this. It seems like the very nature of a human life, which is first and foremost a formative thought that collects enough inertia, other formations, in order to support its formation, attaches itself. Think atoms, particles, molecules, however you need to visualize it, forces, energies, coming together to make a thing called you and me is a tremendous amount of energy. And so when it manifests into a thing, are we not born of innumerable, uncountable attachments, born of, manifest of, those formative energies, formation. If we look with our minds at that process, it's bewildering, it's amazing, it's immense, it's unknowable. That, my friends, is the mental position of Buddha, of our Buddha mind. Because while looking at the amazing process that is, everything that it manifests becomes enlightenment. Everything that comes from that source is utterly amazing. Now, the next step is where we start tripping ourselves. Is that good? Is that bad? Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Is that an evil thing? Is smoking a cigarette an evil thing? Of course not. It's just another among uncountable things. Does smoking a cigarette pose a health threat, a negative impact on this manifested thingness? Well, much evidence, scientific research says that it may be. Now we need to make a choice. Do I want to continue to do this? Not weighing pleasure over not pleasure. That's about the attachment. That's not about the thing or the formation of the habit, which has very little to do with the cigarette. Because now what we're changing is our attitude toward this formation. Have we influenced ourselves to adopt this behavior that, after some research, we find is not particularly supportive of this formation of self, this body, so that we can continue to do really enlightening things, to enjoy this samsaric wonderland? Oh, that's in the way. Well, I'll just stop doing that. Not, it controls me, it owns me. Oh, how aggrandizing that is. We suddenly make this thing bigger than all the other billions and billions and billions of formations that make us. We suddenly subsum into one little thing that is gargantuan. How ridiculous is that? Addiction is simply a choice. If you treat it with any more onus than that, then you are fooling yourself, and you have fallen into the trap of samsara, where you've aggrandized things far outside their reality. And all your efforts are about killing the messenger instead of just hearing the message differently, or not even getting the message. Just let it be. The monk that sets themselves on fire in the city square is so obsessed with the idea of self, their addiction has gone far beyond their reason. So, when you read Nagarjuna's opinions of self, or his writings on emptiness, you will be more able to understand the way he dissects each and every step of that thing. What is self? What is self to you? What is self to me? What is self when we say it? What is self when we don't say it? When we think about it? Where is the source of this thing we all agree is called self, when in fact we don't all agree on what it is, because it is a changing, moving target, because it is a messenger, because it is not the thing. It is the idea of the thing. And the problem with the thing isn't the thing, it's the formation. How does the thing come to exist? Now we're starting to look under the covers. And this is what Nagarjuna is about. Because by the time he was teaching, people have distorted the sutras and the sermons of Shakyamuni to the point where they were unrecognizable. This is the disease of samsara. We want to fetishize everything. And if you didn't pick up on it, that whole cigarette analogy is about a fetish. Right? I don't know. We have a lot of words to define things that don't really define them, but we're good at categorizing things. And the odd thing about categories is that the minute we do it, the minute we create a category, we sort of absolve it from any responsibility. We make it this other thing. So we have things for things for things for things. We get ourselves so far away from the root formations that we don't even understand what we're talking about anymore. You may think that of this video so far. I don't blame you. But I'm telling you, it is a fundamental understanding that all of us, no matter how many years you've been practicing Buddhism, are simply confronting all the time. Awakening our Buddha mind is, in fact, putting to sleep the samsaric mind, because it is so determined to identify, categorize, and instantiate this attachment to every single whim that goes through this brain, every impulse. In fact, that there's an impulse is an attachment. All right, so yeah, that's long enough. Hopefully, this little talk, my best hope is that you got some insight from some of what I was talking about. My secondary hope is that there was some disturbance in what I was saying that you feel either unsure about, or in the best circumstance, you have a question about. What the heck did you mean by this? Oh, do you mean that when I ride my bicycle, this is what I'm doing? I don't care what your question sounds like. I just care that you have a question, because that means that you're on the cusp of an insight, but something is keeping you from it, something. So I want to hear your question. I want to hear how you put your question, whether it's directly related to something I've said or something I've made you, not made you, but inspired you to think or question. What is it? Put it in the comments. If you're not sure you want anyone else to hear it, email me directly. tlksylvain@gmail.com. Let's talk about it. Let's figure this one out. Let's see where the discussion takes us. I'm open. You may present me with a challenge I hadn't considered before. Thank you. I want it. So I'm going to tell you once again, please take care of your health. This body is important. Nowhere else will you be able to awaken your Buddha. This body is important. It's not an attachment. It's a tool. It's a tool for your enlightenment. Therefore, it is important. It's not important because you're attached to it. It's important because of its potential. That is Buddhism. Potential is what we're all about. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hey, thank you for being here. Did you know there's a third way you can help support this channel? And it won't cost you a cent. Yep. If you are not able to be a patron on Patreon or use the PayPal me at .com at Sifu Sylvain because you don't have the financial fortune to help support this channel right now, you, as I say, always support this channel by watching, but you can also help us grow so that maybe one day we can get over 10,000 subscribers and YouTube will grace us with monetization. It's not a lot, but if you can make sure you're subscribed and share a video like a simple one, just go into the search criteria and type monk and you'll have a video that'll come up that's been up for years about what is a monk. You know, it's called monk, who, how, where, something like that. That might be a great introduction to somebody who doesn't understand what a monk is to begin with. It's a tool. Use this channel as a tool to help you with your bodhisattva practice, and share a video to somebody who you think, oh, I know somebody who'll benefit from watching this. And in that way, you can help us grow. And that's a really good way to help your practice along as well. So just wanted to drop that in on you in case that's something that you might find useful. Take care of yourself again, and I'll see you soon. Bye.